I'm Gab. He's Jules. Blue skies over West London. I haven't said that very often of late. It's an FA Cup weekend. We're going to bring you all the magic of the FA Cup. Liverpool winning, Arsenal winning, Kavanaugh having an absolute horse show in the Villa game. We'll talk about that. Real Madrid, big win ahead of the return against the Prince of Darkness, Jose Mourinho. I'm going to be there, by the way. Looking forward to it. But we're going to start at the San Siro, Inter against Juventus. Now, I wish we could be talking about an engrossing game, which went back and forth.
It was still very good, I thought.
It was still a very good game. There were moments of skill.
Yeah.
One incident overshadows everything.
Yeah.
You can tell me if I'm seeing this wrong, right? There's a Juve attack. Bastoni intercepts the ball. He surges forward. Kalulu's in his way. Kalulu has already been booked. Kalulu puts out an arm, a hand.
Yeah, half an arm,
Brushes. Against Bastoni.
Who goes down theoretically.
Theatrically? Very nicely done. No. Referee La Penna immediately comes over, shows him the second yellow, and Kalulu's off. And then all hell breaks loose. I just want to, there's a lot to unpack. I just want to start with the incident. There's two things here. Bastoni's wrong twice.
Yeah.
But before the referee's wrong. Nobody disputes that. VAR could not intervene because it was a second yellow.
Yeah.
That's going to change March 8th, the IFAB meeting. These rules will probably come into effect for next season. We expect them to say you can use VAR for second yellow. It's common sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody's going to disagree with that.
And you even see Kalulu saying to the referee, go and have a look, go and check. And obviously he can't do it.
Now, the referee's a fool. He got it wrong. It's a brain fart, whatever, right? But he's a fool for showing the card immediately because
it's very quick.
It's really quick. You can't go to VAR, but you have assistant referees who could be like, wait a minute, you already booked this guy. Are you sure that this is a tactical foul? I mean, it was inside the Inter half and everything.
Yeah.
Bastoni lets himself fall. We've seen this. He was on the receiving end when Inter played Liverpool. Remember, he gave up the penalty.
Yeah.
A light tap to the back of Florian Wirtz. Florian Wirtz falls over like a sack of potatoes. This is not okay.
No.
It's not okay. It's not okay. I mean, this was worse, the Bastoni thing. And what made it even worse is he's actually celebrating as if he scored a goal when Kalulu's going to get sent off. Yeah. That is unconscionable. Jules, if I'm Inter, I'm going to say, you don't match your club values. I know we've all made mistakes in the past. From now on, you're banned for 3 games.
Yeah.
We're going to ban you internally.
Yeah, it's cheating. That's all you can call it. And people in Italy have called it like that. And Bastoni is I'm sure, I don't know him. He looks like a nice guy or anything, but he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew Kalulu was on a yellow. He knew there was no contact whatsoever. He went down because he knew the referee was very likely giving a second yellow, which he did. You're right. His reaction as celebrating, it probably makes things even worse when you're looking from the outside. And I know this is a high game. It's a Derby d'Italia. It's big. I get all of that, but you can't cheat.
No. It's not just the cheating. It's the celebration part. I mean, all right, imagine this. France against Argentina, World Cup final. Lionel Messi pulls a hamstring. Do you want to see Kylian Mbappe jumping up around celebrating? You know what I mean? Like, it's absurd. 2 Juve officials, Damien Comolli and Giorgio Chiellini, up in the stands.
So the Juventus CEO and director of football, we can call him like that.
Yeah.
Chiellini, something like that,
They get heated. They come down into the tunnel at halftime. You can see Spalletti saying, hey, they're waiting for you as the referee goes off the pitch.
Yeah.
Comolli has to be physically restrained. They confront and insult him. I have a serious problem with that. I hope they both get... You can be as angry as you want after the game.
Yeah.
You do not do this at halftime.
I know.
It's not your role.
No, I can understand the frustration, obviously, because the game is 1-1 at the time. Just before the break, you go into halftime 1-1, but with 10 men away against Inter. You knew that second half was going to be difficult. It was a massive game for Juve to finish in the top 4 or 5. Obviously, not for the title, but for the top 4 or 5. So you knew already.
They need.
Sorry?
Yeah, which they need.
Yeah, which they need, absolutely. But you can't excuse them just because of that frustration. It's unacceptable behavior.
Yeah, and if you wanted to be mean, you could also bring up what Chiellini was like as a player, which was very much in line with Bastoni. Referee chief Gianluca Rocchi apologized for the mistake the next day. He said he's mortified.
Distraught, yeah.
But he did say something which I thought was very relevant. We are not being helped by the players or the managers, because every time we go on the pitch, they're out there trying to con us. I think that's a really valid point. I think that's something to think about going forward to try to resolve this. And we're going to break this on further on the Gavin Jules podcast. All right, Jules, I don't want to moralize. And my views over this have kind of evolved over the years. I remember talking to Pierluigi Collina years ago when I did the book with Gianluca Vialli, his first book, when he said, if you go onto the pitch as a professional footballer, I, the referee, is something that you need to play professionally. I am like the chalk on the sidelines. I am like the goals. I am like the balls. You are not competing against me. You're competing against your opponent. At the time, I got to say, as many years ago, I was maybe less wise. I said, yeah, I know, but you want to do everything to get an edge, to get an advantage. And now as I get older, this really bugs the crap out of me. This is not being clever. This is not forcing your opponent to commit a foul, right? Or doing the old, like, you know, sort of, you're an NBA fan, Bill Lane beer or whatever, leaving a leg so that this is cheating, and it's rejoicing at the fact that you have successfully cheated somebody.
Yeah, I mean, he's not the first one, obviously. Bastoni is not the last one either. Even if with VAR now, obviously, it's far more tricky, I think, to do so because you're going to get caught. And he got caught, very quickly. I mean, we were all watching the game, and as soon as the first replay, because when it happened, and to be fair to La Pena, where he is compared to where Kalulu and Bastoni are, he sees the arm round, but he can't tell if there's just a brush like it is or if there's more to that. But the first replay, you need to see, probably not even slowing it down. You could see clearly there's just nothing, and that Bastoni makes the most of it. So that's the thing. It's bad for the game. It's such a bad look for Bastoni himself, and I think not forever, but for a long time, people will say, "Oh yeah, remember that game against Juventus?" Because it's also such a big game, and everybody's watching. It's not like Pisa in the Coppa d'Italia first round where nobody's watching. You know, it's that big, but that's what Bastoni deserves in a way. He deserves that kind of tag on him and his career. Great player, great centre back, gifted technically, everything you want. But that one time he let himself down.
What I would like for him now is to actually come out and apologize and say, like, what I did was wrong. I got caught up in the moment. I don't know. I genuinely don't, because, and this brings me back to Rocky's words. He says, coaches aren't helping us.
Yeah.
It's not the coaches tell their players to dive. I think we've moved past that. They may teach them to go down if they're contact or whatever, but we've moved past that. But what they do is they become blind when the decision goes their way, when their player takes a dive, right?
Yeah.
And they justify this by saying, well, if I come out afterwards and I admit, yeah, we got lucky because so-and-so took a dive, first of all, the player's going to hate me because he says next time it's going to be harder for me to get a penalty when I am fouled. Secondly, referees are going to be like, aha, this guy admitted that his player dived, so that's going to come into their heads, right?
Yeah.
Do you buy this explanation?
Yeah, I think you made two really good points there on why
it's their point, not my point.
No.
I'm not sure I agree with it.
You made a good point of repeating their point.
Right.
Yeah, I get it. It's tricky. I mean, I know football has, obviously, there's a lot at stake here financially, winning, all of that, I guess. But from a player's point of view, you know what's right and wrong. Bastoni knows what's right and wrong. He knows you can't cheat. And I know, he let himself down, as we said, in this time. But you would hope that he doesn't do it again, and that all this scandal, because let's call it that what it is a scandal now. Bastoni can't get technically suspended, right, by the league.
No, that's something that's
changed. So you're
changed.
right. It's either Inter have to ban him, or he can play the next game.
So they used to have a policy like they had here in England, and I don't think they still have it in England, except for certain cases, where if you are found to have taken a dive, and Judge, remember there was a case
retrospectively, retrospectively.
There's a case years ago which totally infuriated Arsene Wenger I forget who it was.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
But basically, if they could go back and they could ban you
Yeah.
retroactively. They said with the introduction of VAR, they said, well, this is no longer needed. No longer needed because there was a can of worms, because you use it. The most egregious cases like this one are very obvious.
Yeah.
And you could also say he's bringing the game into disrepute by
Yeah,
by celebrating. But there were a lot of kind of minor ones where it is more of a judgment call, right? So they said, let's just shift this all to VAR and let them
Yeah.
sort it out. I would like to see like a little amendment. IFAB, if you're listening, you might want to consider this, since you'll be dealing with this in a couple of weeks. Whenever the VAR notices that there's a collision and a player clutches his face or clutches a body part that hasn't been touched, and we see
it all the time.
We saw it this weekend in the FA Cup. I forget the game.
Yeah, but even in the Champions last week in the midweek round, we saw a contact where there was nothing touched on the face and the guy was rolling over, holding his head.
The minute that happens, just give the footballers a code. You don't do this. You're trying to con the referee, right? When it happens, word in the air, you're booked. I don't care.
Yeah,
right? You're automatically booked for that, right? I mean, that is the most obvious, egregious thing, right? There's no judgment in that.
Yeah.
I think that's something that can be done. One of the other big talking points this season, people have complained a lot about refereeing in Serie A. And one of the things that Rocky, the head of the referees, who's leaving at the end of the season, one of the things he's been criticized for is that he's adopted this sense this year, not officially, but when you look at the numbers, it's pretty obvious that normally you have got bigger games or games that are considered more difficult, relegation scraps, whatever, and they go to the better, more experienced referees. He's kind of not done that. He's kind of said, all right, I'm going to kind of give out the games pretty much equally. Everybody deserves to have a referee. I want to have this idea that all our referees are good. So, Doveri was Italy's top referee right now, arguably, who's going to probably take charge of the derby. He didn't get this game. It went to La Penna, he's been around a while, but, I think he's got maybe 100-odd games in Serie A, which is not a lot for a game of this magnitude. Are you on board with that? Should we have tiers? Should we recognize that the way every other referees organization in the world does, top referees get the top games because there's more attention.
Exactly.
Or the more difficult games. Sunderland Newcastle may not be a top game, but it's a derby, it's heated, whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like that. I think so. And I know you want to avoid it becoming a vicious circle, because then it's always the same referees. And if you're an up-and-coming referee, you say, hang on, how do I get the experience to be able to referee a derby like this, or the Milan derby or the Rome derby or whatever, if I don't get the opportunities? So I get that, but you can make it in a way where once you considered ready, you do this. And in this case, I'm not sure if La Pena was ready or not, or if he just got conned like a lot of very good referees could have got conned the way he was and the way it happened, and Bastoni's, all of that. I don't know, but it's true that, and it's not just in Italy, but in Spain, in La Liga, there's incidents with referees all the time, and VAR all the time. In France, we've had so many issues too. I mean, in England, we're going to talk about the Villa-Newcastle game. It looks like referees without VAR seems lost sometimes. So it's just, I think it's just, it seems like this season, the refereeing level certainly is a bit disappointing.
Yeah, and that's always the big question, right? Is the referee level disappointing, or do we just scrutinize it? Do we have more Dale Johnsons out there? Our colleague who's not at the BBC, you can read him there. Just scrutinizing every angle of it, right?
Maybe.
And there's even people who dispute the fact. I mean, in Italy, there's DAZN, one of the rights holders. They have kind of like the equivalent of what Howard Webb does when he goes and he explains the decisions. There's even people who say like, no, that's stupid. You shouldn't be doing that. Because it's like a court of law, right?
Yeah.
The verdict is issued. It's not like afterwards you get to have a press conference with the judge and the jury and say, hey, why did you think this? I don't know. But I think coaches can certainly do a lot as far as the on the cheating simulation thing. One other point before, anyway, then I finally want to talk about the game. You can't escape your past. And obviously Italy's been marked by the Calciopoli scandal. Prior to that, I just want to be fair here. Juve fans will say, oh, yeah, but what about Juventus against Perugia? the game and when they threw away the title, or the year after, I think was when Lazio won it. Right, whatever, that's fine, right? So there's a history of conspiracies and whatever. I do not for one second believe there is any kind of conspiracy here, other than the fact that a referee who is not great made a terrible mistake.
We're on the level. And got made a mistake because Bastoni cheated.
Yeah, and he's going to be suspended for a month now. The referee, longer than Bastoni.
Yeah.
And that's right, because even if you're in good faith, mistakes have to have consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you're Juventus, you are well annoyed by how this all happened, obviously, in such a big game.
All right. As for the game itself, missing in action, Ballon d'Or Lautaro and Jonathan David, sorry to say.
Yeah, as well.
I thought Juve played really well at 11v11.
Yeah, and even at 10v11 to some extent.
I know, and at 10v11. I mean, coming back with that Locatelli goal and stuff, they showed so much fight.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and say it, especially now that Como has hit a bit of a road bump. I think Juve played the best football in Serie A.
Yeah, I agree with you. You could see in this game, which is a tough game, obviously. Inter, even with Çalhanoğlu on the bench, for example, and Lautaro not really showing up and things like that. Luis Enrique, who I know is involved in the first goal, but also forgets completely that he's a defender on the Cambiaso goal for Juve. He looks at him, the first goal that Juve, so the 1-1 goal from Cambiaso, the cross from the right, and he's at the far post. And Luis Enrique is looking at him, okay, I know you're here. And then he just forgets completely, and Cambiaso goes in front of him to score.
I know the guy's a winger, right? He's not a winger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, fine. But you're also a professional footballer.
I know, come on.
And also, even as a winger, sometimes you do have to cover the far post.
It's not even that difficult to just say, okay, I've got a player here, pull your arm so he doesn't come in front of you. So it's not easy to go to Inter. And for Juve, I think I agree with you, to play like that, it's just a bit disappointing from them that at 2-2, with everything that happened, they could not keep that 1 point that would have been very precious.
And let's remind ourselves where they were at the start of the season.
Yeah, true.
And that's Spalletti came in. And again, I don't want to make it seem like I'm now his biggest fan, because I don't. I think he's weird and he's responsible for many of the bad things happening in our national team, but he's doing a phenomenal job.
Doing a great job.
And he's improving individual players. I think that's pretty remarkable.
It's a big win for Inter, though. Massive win.
Huge win for Inter. Milan, of course, play this evening. They have a game in hand.
Yeah.
It's a game against Como, so who knows what Cesc Fabregas has planned. But it is at home. But this is a big step, I think, towards a title.
Yeah.
I think this Inter team more complete than last season.
Yeah.
I think Akanji's brought something.
Yeah.
I think he's just a better rounded player than Pavard. Younger player, too, if only by a year or two.
Yeah.
And then now they also have alternatives off the bench. I mean, Francesco Pio Esposito scoring a great goal.
Really nice.
I think Thuram plays better with Esposito than he does with Lautaro.
Yeah. I think Boni is a good option to have off the bench. And Zelinski, who scored the winner in this game that started, but you would usually have him on the bench probably, is a great asset to have as well in a game like this. It's a lovely winning goal. And I think that's the game maybe where, because even if Milan win the game in hand, they're 5 points behind.
But there's the derby, so then it's down to 2 points.
Yeah, maybe. But if they drop points there, then I think,
Oh yeah. If they drop
points, they've been on
100%. So I don't think it's far from over, but they did take a big step. And for Juve, part of the reason they're so angry, and you touched upon it before, is even just for continued growth, balancing the books, they have to qualify for the Champions League. And they're hanging on the fourth place. Roma just 1 point behind them.